Hello, this is Samuel. I'm here with my wonderful friends from Regent University. And here we have another one. Now you can introduce yourselves.
Hi.
Feel comfortable.
I'm Em. I'm a freshman here at Regent in undergrad.
Okay, thank you.
I'm Nick. I'm a freshman here at Regent, and I'm studying English right now.
Okay, and what's your major?
International studies.
Okay, great. Well, we're here to discuss Christianity, Christian culture, as it relates to your generation. Yeah, so feel free to share with me. I have some authors who are arguing that the church is not doing really good in terms of sustaining the younger ones, your interest in church, especially the American church. What do you think? You want to go first?
Sure, I can go first. Well, I think I would agree to a point. I think a lot of kids are looking for a more experiential church kind of community where there's a lot more, you know, because we're so overwhelmed with like rationality and everything that's going on in the culture. Like you have to, you know, you have to explain everything. You know, you have to be able to explain God 100%.
Okay.
So I think a lot of the younger community is looking for experience to say like I felt God. You know, I could explain God to a point, but I can also feel God and understand God, and that will bring in conviction. Because I think a lot of kids are also convicted when they go to church because they don't really understand the way God's love works, especially in a community where you know there's a lot of fatherless people, a lot of people that don't understand what a father's love is or how what God's love really is.
Okay.
So I think a church with more experience I think would bring more kids in. Or, you know.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. What do you think, sir?
I think it's kind of twofold. I mean, I definitely believe that the church could maybe do a better job, but I honestly think it's the breakdown of the family and society. And I think that the church can only do so much to get people in its doors and connect with them, but I completely believe that it's the breakdown of the family within the society. Okay. So maybe the church could work on building the family as a whole.
Okay.
And I think the disinterest in church that kids have is because they haven't been taught and they haven't been raised by their family that this is right. In our society is they're defining moral relativity. So because you don't have a standard, religion kind of is thrown out the religion has no place. And so I think it says the fear of the Lord is the beginning of all wisdom. I think it comes down to the family training and raising up a child in the way they should go, because like the church they can swing the pendulum to the side of, oh, look at all these programs we have. And so this is why you can come and have a fun time, which I believe that, they're tools that we can use, but we don't want to abuse them. But yet that's still not going to get people in the doors, I think it completely comes down to the family and the family unit and the church. I guess the church's job, what they can do to help is build the family unit.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, great point. Okay, so let me ask you another question then. A follow-up question so we can explore deeper. Okay, so from the look of things and from the views you're sharing, I perceive very strongly you're Christians, to the core. Okay, so how did you become a Christian? And can you tell me if the church had anything to do with, maybe the church's witness had a lot to do with your becoming a Christian?
Yeah, sure. I was raised in church, so I've been going to church since I was, a baby.
Okay.
But I don't think I fully accepted Christ until I had that foundation. I remember there was a Sunday school service. Like I was a young girl, and it was like more than just Jesus loves you, whatever. But it was kind of along the lines of like, you can't escape God because his love is so profound for you, and it goes beyond any sort of love that anyone else can provide. And so I think having that foundation of being like, no matter where I am in my life, that there's like God is always chasing for me. So I think it was also that kind of like, there's everlasting love out there for you. So when I went through a hard time myself, emotionally, I could always go back to like that sermon of the church that was saying, you know, or what in Sunday school as a girl, like there's so much love for you that you don't even know yet. So like, so yeah, I think the church definitely had a huge influence on my heart as a child, and I could really carry that through my life. So along what Nick was saying, like the family unit, I'm bringing in that like God's love for you is so strong, like it's stronger even than a mother or a father, you know, like there's a, you can build like, I don't know. I think I definitely agree with what Nick was saying. That there's
before I go back, thanks for sharing. Before I go back to Nick, let me ask you this follow-up question. So then, as a youth, okay, did you feel affirmed by the church? Were there things about you that you felt like the church was maybe cutting down on, and you wanted to rebel against, and it was pushing you away instead of attracting you? And how, if so, how do you think the church could have rectified the approach?
Sure. Well, in my own church, I went to a non-denominational church.
Okay.
But when I was around 13, I basically stopped going to church because I did feel that like there was no community within my like my youth group. I felt like it was more just like, here's a sermon, here's what you shouldn't be doing, here is this what you should not, you know, you shouldn't live this way. But there was no solution. Like if you've already done this bad thing in your life, how you can, you know, find peace in your life again. And I think that that condemnation from the church with no solution, it was just kind of like, you know, this is the wrong thing, avoid this, but we're not going to tell you what to do if you've already done it. I think that was kind of what turned me away from the church for a while there.
Okay. And then you had to come back because?
Because God's love is more than anything else. God's always chasing me, like they said in Sunday school.
Thank you so much. Okay, Nick, let's go back to Nick and see what do you think about, I know you heard the question I posed to her. And so what would you say to that? How did the church play a role in your becoming a believer? Finding Jesus as your personal Lord?
I think, I grew up in a Christian home.
Okay.
Which I think that's why I have such a, believe there's such a strong emphasis on the family.
Okay.
We went to a church, it's really hard to say because like the body of Christ as a whole, we're talking about the American church. If we talk about my personal church, like it was super dysfunctional growing up. And so anything, I would say it's God's grace that he preserved me and kept me grounded, because we went there for a number of years and then we left and then found it, because there was just places evolve and we were just like, it's not working for us. And if my relationship with Christ was directly correlated to the church, I don't think I would have a relationship with Christ. So therefore I believe that I think the family really molds and directs a child in their upbringing to a relationship with Christ, because you can't have a relationship with Christ through your family, but they can direct and show. I think, and now as the American church, I would say, my home church, it definitely, like, I found this thing called community that I hadn't had before, and you experience this whole new realm of the Christian church. And like, if I say that community and that Bible study life and doing life together is the church, now I would say it absolutely is. Like, it is so strengthening in a healthy, done healthily. A community in a church is, I would say that's the most like parallel to the Church of Acts, just a healthy community. So I believe that done right, a healthy church absolutely can strengthen a believer. Yeah, absolutely. I think though, as far as upbringing, I think my family, in direction played the biggest role. Whereas if it was left up to my church, I think it would have been really, I know there's a stat that says like after 18 kids don't go back to church. I think I would have been one of those stats.
Wow.
Yeah, my family,
Wow, that's so profound. I can see why you speak so strongly for family. Okay, so let me ask both of you this question then. Let's go into culture war. Okay, so I believe you have friends who are unbelievers, so to speak. And so they don't want to come to church for 1, 2, 3, 4 reasons. But you truly, truly think they are good guys or good ladies, they're good people. You feel comfortable around them even though they don't come to church. But for whatever reason, the church doesn't feel the way you feel about these people. Or you think the church does feel that? So how do you build a bridge between your friends, the new generation, and the church? What's your message? How do you think the church can build a bridge that will attract these ones smoothly?
That's so good. Wow, that's a strong question. Well, I think, again, I think for my friends personally, because I have a lot of friends too that were Christians, or they had a Christian family as a young child, and then they went away from that, or they found condemnation in that, in some sense of the word.
Okay.
So, how to build a bridge, church. That's so hard, because I want to just say, acceptance, but that's not what I mean. I don't mean accepting everyone, like accepting sin. I don't mean that. Yeah, I think it would go into community, and just building a community that exudes love, and then a community that's definitely open. That's a community that says, like, we welcome all people. Not that we welcome all sin, but we welcome all people.
All inclusiveness.
Yeah, all inclusive, and that doesn't mean saying like, oh, we welcome you for everything you're doing in your life, but it means that we welcome you because, you're so worthy of love, because you were created by a God that created you, to be loved, and to love Him back. So I think. Just a community, I think that would go more into the congregation than the preacher himself, because I don't think the pastor himself, I think the pastor, preaching sermons about love, all that's great, but I think building a community within a congregation, like teaching a community, not teaching the congregation, but showing the congregation, like, how to be, or just guiding them to be more connected and to be more loving and to exude love in a way that draws people in. As I think a lot of my friends that don't come to church anymore, or don't believe in God, a lot of them don't feel loved. They don't feel accepted, and they go to any community that they'll feel accepted and loved, because they're aching for that. They're aching for that sort of, that fullness that only God can give. But they look somewhere else because they feel condemned when they go to God's light, because they feel like the church is telling them, oh, you're not worthy of love because you're doing this sin, or you're not worthy of love because you can't let go of this addiction. So I think it would be more, personally, I think it would be more in the congregations coming together and just building a community that's just for love, and it's just for passion of Christ. And through that, there can be transformation, because once people know what the love of God is, they can let go of the love of the world. Okay,
thank you so much. That's so powerful. If I may follow up on that, Nick, don't forget the question. I'm going to hit you with that. So here's this one for you too. And so, as a lady, as a young Christian lady, you have tastes. You have fashion tastes, and the attraction is heavy. The challenge, the excitement of it, you go online, or you watch the TV, or you buy the magazines or whatever. You look at the runways and look at the models and look at all these. There are things you want to do, as a Christian young lady, or how you want to dress, or how, you want to be a part of your generation, So do you feel, number one question there is, do you feel restrained? And if you don't feel restrained, you think it's a good thing to kind of enjoy life and be how you want to be, enjoy fashion, whatever. How do you think the church can use fashion and all these, call it culture, feminine culture that's out there? How do you think the church can actually use this as a tool, kind of, assuming that you want to be a model, how can you be a model and still take your Christianity with you into that?
Sure.
Yeah, so what's your view on that?
Well, this is going to be more general, because I feel like this is kind of like a philosophy I have of my own, not my own philosophy, but a philosophy I believe that I can carry throughout the rest of my life, is that, like, you can glorify God in everything you do.
Right.
So to me, fashion would be another way to glorify God, because it's just kind of glorifying that He created these beautiful things. So I think in some aspect I would feel restricted if I were coming from a different point of view, a different way in my life, saying like, oh, I want to dress a certain way, but I feel like it's restricting because I can't wear this in church, or I can't wear this around my Christian friends, But I think to play into that, it would just kind of, well, I'm going to word this different. I think the bigger role of the church would to say that, like, fashion is awesome and fashion is beautiful, and, guys love fashion too, girls love fashion. Like, you can glorify God in what you wear. You can, like, you can just show, like, I don't know, you can just show your uniqueness in what you wear and that God created you differently. But I think this church can also speak into that and saying that, like, no matter what you do, no matter what you know, your worth isn't going to come from that, though.
Right.
So I think, yes, it's awesome for the church to, I don't know, agree with that culture and totally accept that culture. And, you know, if the pastor's fashionable, I'm sure the congregation will notice that too. But I think more importantly, if the church just says, that's awesome.